and I'll hold the space open. Okay. So you've asked, what's the reason for blushing? Is it genetic or is it because of childhood trauma? Yeah, lovely question, and I'm gonna speak from my experience, what I think it is. So I believe that blushing is genetic, as in if we have a pale face and there are a greater number of I think it's blood vessels that dilate with a paler skin. The um, the blushing becomes more present. I've also learned within, I think it's Chinese medicine, those who are in um, have a specific type of um, what is it? Well, in Ayurvedic medicine, it's called a dosha, which is pitta, which is energy rising. So heat comes up, and so there's more of a likelihood of blushing, of facial blushing. Um, Now, I also know people, which may be a surprise for some of us here. I've spoken to a few people, one person in particular who blushes and it has no effect on her, meaning she facially blushes, but there's none of the attachment to, oh, this is an awful thing. And you may then be creating all these stories about, well, I bet she doesn't blush all that much, or lucky her, all that. But there's also the component of shame, which is attached to blushing. And I remember one day lying in my bed and thinking, huh, if I didn't take myself so seriously, would it bother me that I blushed? And this was after a time when I was speaking to someone who who's like a not a superior, I don't like that word, but someone I was doing work with, and they were kind of a manager. They just seen me blush, and like I could see in their reaction, like, what the heck's going on? Are you okay? They didn't say anything, but they could feel it. Um, and I remember thinking, if I didn't take myself so serious and I wasn't so ashamed of being wrong or bad or seen as weird, then that blushing may not matter so much. So there's a childhood trauma for me that's attached to me not being good enough means when I blush, that's a reminder that I'm not good enough. I hope that helps to answer your question. And if anyone else has any, feel free to share. Um, you're lovely. So, do you have any advice on how to respond, deal with people pointing out the blushing? Mm, uh, it's it's really frustrating in a way because once again, the people who are doing it, um, they may not think anything of it, but it's almost like a additional trauma. It's almost like an additional, like an add-on. The blushing's bad enough, and then someone points out, it's like, oh shit, come on, this is. Um, so one of the ways in which I've found is really helpful to deal with it is to be open and to be honest wherever you can. Um, like there are some people who have disabilities, who have issues, challenges that they face, and people will stare, people will say things, um, and it's never brought to the surface. And in that way, someone who may have an actual issue, but the issue itself isn't spoken about, no one learns about it, no one understands it, and so um, one of the challenging things is then you becoming a spokesperson with it. Now I can already feel the tension within that because it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. But here's the thing is the more we say this blushing thing is bad, that when my face goes bright red and someone sees me for it is a bad thing, is a thing I want to run away from and hide, the more often it's thought about as being a problem. the more it becomes a trigger, the more tense that we get. And at first it may feel like, no, 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 I'm not talking about this. I want to deal with it, but in a way that I don't want to share anymore. What about the first 3 times? It might be really, really uncomfortable to talk to someone about it. But what happens about 10 times later, 20 times later, and you've opened up so much about it, it's now becoming something that's actually kind of a little comfortable. And then what about 100 times later, and you've spoken to people about it who look at you funny, and you say, hey, I've got this thing called erythrophobia, or blushing, or this fear, this anxiety. So when you say this or look at me that way, it reminds me that I feel ashamed of myself. Or I would really prefer it if you didn't look at me or point out my blushing, because it's something I actually have a lot of fear around and problems with. Like, after saying that, sharing over and over, it's like, oh, this is just a part of me. This is just something, this is just part of who I am. And I want to share an example of that. I have red hair. You can't see it as much. It was much more red when I was younger, and people used to pick that out, and I used to feel really insecure about it, really insecure, and I'd beat myself up and feel really like low. And it was one of those things that I choose to self-hate about myself. And there'd be not very nice terms and things like that. And it was only until I started to love the way that I look, the red hair that I have, and really own it, did it become a part of me that I could love, and then other people could love as well. And now to come around to a different answer related to that. As you begin to practice what I had shared in the visualization, and lessening your reaction, your emotional reaction to when someone points out the blushing, it's easier to then talk about it. It's easier to speak about it, because it's only when we feel like, oh, this is the worst thing that could happen in my life. It's when that's happening, it's like, I can't then talk about this. It's like we're frozen. But if you support yourself and allow yourself to feel safe and feeling that way, and this is what I found over time, it becomes easier to, for me at least, to be blushing and then to be able to speak about it, which 5 years ago, 10 years ago, no way, that wouldn't have been possible. So I hope that answers your question somewhat. So if you have any follow-up questions on that or anything else, be a pleasure to hear that. If anyone else has any answers, things that have worked for them as well. And I also appreciate, Rachel, that what I'm sharing isn't easy. It really isn't easy. And I also want to then frame up that living with blushing and continuing to have it as a daily reminder that we need to hide and live in fear, in my opinion, is much harder. It's much, much harder. And at this point in my life, I am choosing to take the option, which is I want to talk about it. I want to be more open about it, because I don't want to live in fear. I don't want to hide myself from people. I don't, even feeling that, is like there's an emotion coming up, some real sadness of like, I really don't want to be hiding myself anymore. I don't want to be keeping the truth of who I am in secrecy. Spent too long doing that. Too long. And it's like, now is your time to be seen. You are a beautiful being. There's so much to love and appreciate about who you are, and that needs to be shared with the world. So much so. And I can only imagine how many people who would cherish the opportunity of getting to meet you for who you really are. Gosh, yeah. The world is the world is waiting for you. How how's how's that? That's what I really feel. Hmm. So I welcome any more questions that may come in, any more thoughts, any more, well, anything really. And oh, well, thank you, Haka. It's so great to be able to ask questions and communicate with you and others who are going through similar experiences. Yeah, yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? I'm actually my eyes are welling up a little right now after reading that because like it is really nice. Um, because I don't know about you, but 10 years of my life has been spent thinking that I am the only one who blushes or at least has any problems because um, no one else talks about it. You know, no one else talks about it, and that's where shame lies in secrecy. And so being able to talk about it, open up, beautiful. And in saying that, I thought I would finish with I had a wonderful conversation, real heart opening conversation with a now friend of mine. Um, and her name is, uh, and she's not a part of this group, she doesn't have Facebook. But we spoke about having creating a support group, so a blushers support group. And the intention for this is, of course, to support one another. Um, More importantly, though, is to encourage growth, encourage um, taking steps to heal, to move into love, to move into peace. Um, because sometimes we can get so caught up in the day to day and the feelings of fear and anxiety, we forget that I can get out of this, that you are more than blushing, you're more than the red face, shoulders, chest, arms, and the anxiety, the fear. So for anyone who's interested in that support group, we're going to be starting on the 31st of July, so the last Saturday of this month. If you want any more details, please let me know. Um, the group is going to be going. It's going to be starting. If no one else wants to join, it's just going to be because why the heck not? Because it's going to it takes two people to have this beautiful experience together, feeling seen and heard and appreciated. And if you guys want to join in, you are more than welcome to. So please let me know. Um, the first session, or not even the first session, the first conversation, will be all around finding out what works for us. So it's not going to be like, hey, this is how we're doing it. Um, like it or not, this is a community. Um, so yeah, let me know. I can talk about it more because I'm just so excited. But message me, we can speak at it more. And as well, if anyone has like any questions or anyone wants to speak not in person, over a conversation, let me know. Like I'm so open to having conversations, um, voice or video. Uh, and you said, will you have more live videos in the future? Because I really liked it. Oh, cool! Yay! Yes, there will be more. I think I spoke to someone. Her name starts with a D. I can't remember the rest of it. That we're going to do another one in a weekday. So I'll let you guys know about that. But might do alternating weekday, weekend. Um, yeah. So let me know if there's anything or anyone else that you guys want, that you want the topic to be on. And I really, really encourage you to share more in this group about what's going well or the process you're going through in self-love or self-acceptance. Because the moment we begin to shift, we really begin to shift into creating or being aware of the positive, the healing, the process, we begin to remind others that it's possible for them too. So don't, please remember, you are a powerful being. You are love. You are filled with light. And the moment you start to embody that, you can bring it into other people's lives. You are powerful. Please remember that. So there will be more, and it was my pleasure. Okay, so that is enough, I think. Enough of me talking. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to ask. Ask away about the support group, Blush support group, and as well, if you want to have a conversation at any point, let me know. We're in this together. We're a community. I love you. I appreciate you all. Wishing you a beautiful day. And I'm so grateful. My heart is so grateful to spend this time with you. All right. Peace, love, and play to you all.